I'm pretty sure that artists are different people. Not better, but are different. And because creating things, cooking or composing or conducting everything, it's like going beyond what you are. It's, I don't know, a lot of philosophers and a lot of scholars have been discussing about this, but arts, I think it's the highest cognitive function of the brain, of the human being, of course, because it's like, it's language, attention, executive functions, semantics, but like in the top, it's arts, because you're creating something that you don't need. You don't need arts. You need to have a proper language in order to act according to others' behaviors and sentences, but you don't need art, so why? And that question is fascinating, absolutely.
Good morning, Jesus.
How are you?
I'm fine. It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Yeah, it's so great. Thank you so much for this.
It's a great pleasure. And I must say, I never thought I would say the word neurosurgeon and conductor in the same sentence. But now, speaking to a man who's both.
To be honest, I never thought that could be possible, talking about me, because when I was a child, I was dreaming about going into the mind of others and to help them. At the same time, I was dreaming with the most beautiful instrument that we have, which is the orchestra. So both are really, I don't know, but each time I do anything related to this, I feel really, really, I don't know, but proud, and I say, okay, thank you so much, God, for this.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it must be two of your passions then that you are able to live, that you are able to pursue.
Sometimes it's really difficult because, I'm supposed to have a life, a social life, a normal life, but usually when people ask me how it's possible to manage your life with this different kind of things to do, I always tell them that the key is the passion. I'm always pushing myself to do what really makes me feel happy, and music and brain science and neurosurgery makes me happy, so I go for that. I assume that I have the same social and familiar life compared to my colleagues, but it's okay for me. At this moment, it's okay. But
well, you're happy, so that's
happy.
The most important. Yeah, but happy. Now it's really two careers that takes a lot of time. And you're talking about now that it consumes so much of your time. But were you first, as a child, did you start an instrument? Did you start playing the instrument? At what age? Yes,
I started playing. I think this is the first time you hear this word. It's timple. Timple is like the typical instrument from Canary Islands. It's like we can say a little guitar with only 5 strings, and it's so typical from here. So all my family, my mother's side is they are musicians. So I started playing at 4 years old, the timple, and then at 9, classical guitar. Then I complete my studies, and I don't know, maybe at 15, I began to feel interested, so interested in the orchestra, composing for orchestra more than playing. And I don't know, maybe when I was 17, I moved from La Palma to Tenerife to study medicine. So I have been all my life trying to combine these two big things, or at least so time consuming. But yes, I
But
started.
yeah, as a child, you had to, I mean, of course, as you have to practice. So that takes a few hours of your day. And then you have to study. When you study medicine, when you talk to people who study medicine, it just feels like that consumes their whole day. It's just studying. And so how did you manage to do that when you were younger?
To be honest, I really don't know exactly how I manage my times. I don't know, because from 6 to 17th, I was a football player. Okay, not so good, but I was a football player. So I was combining, I don't know, to be honest, it's the same sentence. It's like passion. And I don't know, I was not, my dad is, fortunately, this weekend, my dad has visited me because I'm in Canary Island for this week, and I will go to Montpellier again. And he was. We were talking yesterday about the passion that I showed, even being a child, 4, 5, 6 years old. So I was so okay, from 4 to 5, study, I don't know, whatever, and then playing guitar. And then I think that my mom was so strict with the fact of being of having a so organized schedule. So I think that's the key for doing two time-consuming things at the same time. I think so.
Yeah, so that's time management, so that you have a routine and you manage that.
Yeah, I think, but I don't know if I think so. For me, that's the key. I'm not. I don't think that I have high capacities for. But no, I think it's really you need like an amalgam. You need a lot of things working together: passion, capacities, and a good family that supports you, and a lot of things. But that's not only yourself.
But now, in the science part, the neuroscience part. So you said you were always fascinated to know how the brain works.
Yes, from the beginning. In my house, we had like a lot of books about, I don't know why, but in my house, a lot of books about brain and the heart. So the brain was like what most fascinated me was the fact that uh, my thoughts, I remember perfectly, but my thought when I was a child was like, okay, I could see in the books, in the paper, that this is the brain. Okay, so, but the fact of understanding that this three-dimension system create by itself a completely different world, because the brain is like a 3D space. It's not more than that, but it's different. We can imagine what we want, and it's so crazy. So that's really impacted me. It's like, okay, this is similar to old people, but inside it's a completely different world. So how to ask the mind of people to help them and to guess new things and new concepts about cognitive functions. So everything began there, and then coincidence or not, my uncle died because of a glioblastoma, the most common primary brain tumor. So everything, I don't know, a puzzle that's together. I don't know.
And then you started studying. You decided to study that, and alongside did you still keep on studying music?
Yes, at the same time, because I needed. to be honest, I needed because it was not enough studying medicine, even despite the passion and being happy of studying. I have all my life enjoyed studying, but music, it was like, I need that. I need that. And I was not worried about, that could be a point, because I was not worried about passing the subject or not. I knew that I was learning classical guitar performance and composing skills. So I was not worried about that. I was worried about the medicine career. And maybe that allowed me to be, I don't know, like more comfortable with both studies. But I tried to combine both of them. And I think that was the key, because without studying those years, 10 years ago, it was maybe impossible. It could be impossible being a conductor or a composer or an orchestra composer. Could be impossible. So I really, I'm proud about the decisions about pushing myself every day to do both.
So with the composing part, your mind has to be sort of open to think of ideas, but on the other hand, your mind has also been occupied by your work, by your, of course, if you say, like yesterday, you told me you had this long hours of surgery, but how does the composing part, and do you really have to switch off to start composing? Or does it come in this busy life of yours?
It's a good question. It could sound maybe a little bit strange, but I promise you that sometimes I need to switch off from neurosurgery and neurosciences, because my team, we do a lot of research, not only operating, it's developing new concepts of cognitive awake surgery. We will talk about this later. But sometimes I need to switch off. But other times I'm just driving or going to give a zodiac, and suddenly I hear a melody that I need for the next score that I'm going to compose. So sometimes I don't need to switch off. It's like an involuntary switching. But other times I need to sit down and read the script and begin to write. For example, I have the last, this is a new work. So sometimes you need to sit down, but a lot of times I have the music in my head, and I put the iPhone to record, and
Really?
I sing, and then I transfer to the computer. That's honestly how I work.
Do you think that both these careers have an influence on each other? That the fact that you're a musician and that that influences your job as a neuroscientist? In what way?
Each day, I think more that both have been influencing, cooperating, and reshaping between both. I'm so sure. I think exactly the way. I think that could be, I reckon, the fact of knowing that you are able to create something that never has existed before, which is creating a melody, a single melody, a line, that gives you some, I don't know, some kind of knowledge to the other part. It's like, okay, even in neurosciences, you can not only reproduce good results, but you can go deeper and deeper and create new models. So to not only push yourself as a neurosurgeon, but also to, if I can create in music, I can create in neurosciences, and this is what we have done. And I think that's a way exactly how both have reshaping.
So do you think that art allows you to then see in other forms of your life that art allows you to see solutions or to see other possibilities than just what is
Yes,
always there.
absolutely. Uh, I remember 1 year ago, and 1 year and a half before laying aside my island, Tenerife, I was talking to a colleague, neurosurgeon also, and I was so focused and like, okay, I need to create an intraoperative test to map in vivo uh, emotions, because my uncle lost all these capacities to, because emotions understanding of others makes you able to act accordingly. So he told me I was so crazy, but finally we have sent to publish the first AI-based task for intraoperative emotional processing in patients with brain tumors. So what that is to say that it's not a fact of capacities, it's more a fact of, okay, I think that I'm going to try to create and to develop some new things. So it's more, I think that people sometimes don't don't reach the goal because they don't try. I think so. And sometimes you need to accept that you can try and you finally, maybe you have no the results expected, but definitely art uh, changed me all the time.
Mm. But this is really why I also do these interviews and why I'm very happy that you contacted me, because I want really to prove that art, science, and maths should stand alongside each other, because they are all in a way connected with each other. And that in education, it's almost as if art is that separate subject, and schools more and more leave art aside, or just once, it's just 1 hour a week or something like that. And here you are saying that also makes you think differently. So if we could have in the education system where children are educated in art, then of course the sciences and the maths would also be greatly improved and benefited through that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Fortunately, obviously, here in Spain, I've received a classical education, and always arts was laid aside. Of course, I don't know why, but I promise you that arts, maths, science, they are the same thing. That depends on the eyes that look at that. But of course, they are interrelated. But totally, yes.
So now for you, you said you've done a new score and you've composed a new piece, and you've also talked about the groundbreaking work that you're doing in your career. And so does that always go alongside? Do you always find that when you in with the neuroscience, when you get these ideas and get inspired, that it's also in your music like that?
Uh, to be honest, this last year have been so difficult.
Really?
What I can related to all your questions, and really beautiful questions, and what I can tell you is I feel really I don't know how to say in English, but it's like people don't understand me. I mean, it's like even for neurosurgeons, when I'm so focused. My mentor is the Professor Dufault, who was he is the most important surgeon that performs awake surgery in the world, and going with him and being worried about what my uncle lost. It's like neurosurgery have been so focused in avoiding hemiplegia or aphasia. So we have we went beyond that. It's to, okay, I would like to have my patients with a normal social life, emotions, sexual life, and everything. So when I created this test that I told you before for emotional processing in vivo, you can't imagine the neurosurgeons, and it's like we are not prepared for changes. And this match with, we are not prepared to tell our child that they need to learn art to potentiate the maths. So this is the same. We are not prepared as a society to understand people which is different or a little bit different. And this is the same concept. It's like we can't, it's really difficult as a human being, I don't know why, to go beyond what have been happening before us. So I'm a little bit frustrated, and because it's like people or some people don't understand arts. That's my, and maybe the reason is our professors and our teachers have not been involved in explaining us what arts is, and that's really a big problem for us.
Yeah, that's true. You know, this is not thinking outside the norm and not thinking out. I was actually having a discussion with my daughter this morning where I said, when I hate it when somebody says people don't like something or people wouldn't like something, because you think, but who are these people? Because I see myself different to somebody else, for example. So it's that concept of the norm, you know, of what people believe.
Yes, for sure. And more nowadays, everything is a little bit more complex because of hyperconnection, social hyperconnection, and social media, the speed of news and the hate. I don't know. It's a little bit complex period, but I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. So now your music, what inspires your music? What do you write about?
To be honest, I think I have had a lot of different inputs about, for example, the Cuban music, because in my house, when I was a child, all the family, they still have a group, so a well-known group, musical association, Los Viejos. They play only Cuban music. So suddenly I wake up during the, I don't know, the evening or late in the night, and suddenly I was listening to my mom and my uncle and my cousin playing Cuban music in my house. So that was my main background when I was a child. After that, I think that when I began to my really how to say serious studies in classical guitar and so on, I began to love the Bela Bartok's work. Bela Bartok was really impressive because it's not a classical music. He was one of the composers that began to change everything, like Debussy, and after that Schoenberg. So I don't know, but Cuban music, Bela Bartok, and then I met conceptually John Williams with Jurassic Park soundtrack and Harry Potter soundtrack. That really inspired me a lot. And finally, I don't know, Hans Zimmer, I think it's so brilliant composer. And so that have created on me, I don't know, some kind of mix. And I don't know, right now I'm composing two soundtracks, one for film and one for theater work, and I'm writing some like a symphony, 12 minutes symphony piece for the most beautiful artwork of El Bosco, the Earthly Garden Delights. So it's more contemporary music. It's a little bit. It's a different language from from a soundtrack music, because in soundtrack, you need to create in a so effective way an emotion, and you have only 2, 3, 4 seconds to create the emotion. So you need to produce something predictable, because that it's pleasurable for our brain. That's it. But in contemporary music, it's more a cognitive process. So about how to produce music, not for in a hedonist way. It's like more a cognitive process. That's really interesting. And for example, from this artwork of El Bosco, I have created a mathematical pattern in order to create all the notes in the score. So this has been really an interesting for me, for an interesting way to know me as a composer, because in contemporary music, sometimes with some techniques, you have no the possibility to choose what or which note is going to be the next one. For example, in dodecaphonism or serialism, so you can't choose. So you need to have your skills up to the point to create music, even without choosing the notes. So that's really interesting. I think it's I would work as a composer. It's interesting. So that are my main focus. These 2 soundtracks, the symphony for El Bosco, and in neurosurgery. Please don't ask me, because I have.
But isn't it amazing that you talk about so the knowledge that you get from the neuroscience, does that help you to compose? So you know what feeling, or you know the emotion that people will feel from the music. That's genius.
To be honest, I'm so happy, because if this interpretive test that has I don't know, has walked the entire world the last year. The name is emotions. So I mean, it's if I needed to tell you one word that really describes me, it's emotion. I love that. I love every single detail that's really good draw in us an emotion. An artwork, music, silence, and even more preserving in patients with brain tumors, because before us, no one has talked about emotion in patients, only Professor Duffau. And that's the reason why I'm in Montpellier with him, learning and researching together about this emotional processing, social cognition, and so on. I don't know. I'm so happy because everything is around emotions.
Yeah, and I was actually spoke to a composer once, also a film composer, and we were talking about this fact that when you see something, or when you see a film without music, and the moment you put the music in, with the film, with the visual, how that really taps the emotion. That the music really makes that film or makes that scene so emotional. So yeah, this is what you're talking about now.
Yeah, that's. I'm addicted. To be honest, I'm addicted to give the director some cues and to see their faces, because when and not always you can create it the first time the perfect cue for the director, but when you create something and you are at home writing in the computer, and you create something, you could play, and you feel that at the time, you're sure that when you show to the director, they will be, okay, I need this for this scene. So that moment, it's absolutely incredible. And because of that, I'm beginning to love a lot theater, because theater is like emotions, but literally motion. It's in vivo. And I'm beginning to be addicted to composing for theater, because normally, despite music for theater has not been so, I don't know, it's not a big part of the work in theater, but we have begun to create really soundtracks like I prepare for films for theater, because I think that really can support the actors. So in the last work with the same company I'm working now with, this I have showed you before, Te Imaginas Theatre Company from Canary Island. That was for the first travel around the world. And that was like a work. I mean, my music is not only me, but also the actors. When I gave them some cues for important parts in the work, they influenciate me, or that they influenciate me in some manner. And okay, I went back home, and okay, I'm gonna change everything, and then you go back, and okay, I have changed this, and okay, this completely fits you. It's like I don't know, the theater. It's more beautiful than I expected, to be honest.
Really?
The actors are interacting with your music in vivo. It's in vivo. But nonetheless, obviously, film, it's obviously beautiful. Of course, it's beautiful. But the actors are not interacting with your music.
Yeah, that's true. But amazing that you say that this Cuban music background that you have, and that influence also the way you write. And what an amazing merging of classical and Cuban.
It's so strange, but I feel sometimes the last cue I sent Maria and Raquel for this work, it was, when I was listening to that in my computer, I write. I don't compose with the new DOS software with the piano. I write each note for note in my computer. It's better. So maybe I need to change. I don't know, but I write in this way. And I was listening to that. It's okay. I can feel the Cuban flavor a little bit in some parts. You realize that unconsciously that's part of you, and you can't change that because that's your inner workings. You can't. It's amazing because that's I don't know where exactly my brain, but that it's there. Cuban music is there. Yes, of course.
I think it's amazing that you do that, and it makes it a bit more unique.
I don't know, but Cuban music really has influenced me a lot, and Cuban people even is for me it's a special population because they have created a lot of arts without probably the economical and cultural support that they need. But the human being and the brain is so amazing that even when you have nothing, you can create. When you have nothing, you are still able to create, and that's amazing. Yes.
I totally agree, and I think it's sometimes from that, if you have nothing, that the greatest things come, because it's amazing how creative people can be when they have nothing.
So when I'm talking about this, I remember the story of how Olivier Messiaen wrote the quartet of the end of the world, and that was so incredible because that's part of the contemporary music that's different from the emotional and exciting cues and parts of Beethoven and Bach. This is a little bit more complex to understand, but this story of how Olivier Messiaen wrote this piece in the middle of the four of the quartet, so near to die because of the war. So that's incredible. So how the human being in so difficult situations can create really art. That's make me so doubtful about. It's so curious because human beings, we are prepared for feeling pleasure with those things that make us more or give us more probabilities to preserve this species as a human beings. I mean, food and sex. Obviously, our brain is hardwired to feel pleasure because otherwise, no more human beings. But why arts? Why arts are able to produce the same exactly in the brain without obvious evolutionary advantages? So I'm so curious about that, and Darwin was so curious about this. So I don't know. It's arts. Why I'm hardwired to feel pleasure with 6 notes? That's isn't it? I think it's one of the most beautiful things. I don't know. I have no the answer. That's beautiful.
But I did a project here in Vienna over lockdown where I photographed 500 artists in their windows because I wanted to raise awareness of the fact that artists were sort of confined by and not able to perform and be in the theaters. And what I found so fascinating with all these people that I spoke to and photographed was that they all did something. They were not sort of stuck. They started cooking or baking or painting or something, but they were creative. They all of them did something else or tried to solve the problem or tried just do something, and that fascinated me so much. And this is actually why I'm continuing this series, because what is it that makes this artist create and keep on creating, even though they couldn't be in the theater, they couldn't do their thing, but then they reverted to something else, or they started creating something else, and that to me was so fascinating, that it was and the other thing was also that you would have expected them to be really depressed, although there were heartbreaking stories that I heard, but yet the moment you say, okay, let's take your picture in the window, it was like they were there, it was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. And it was, for me, the switch. How can you switch, and this is what the artists do, I think, that switch from, okay, this is life, but here's my art, so this is what I'm giving. And that was, for me, what was really intrigued me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think that we could be talking about arts, 1,000 hours, and we once find a solution about what it is. Why artists? I'm pretty sure that artists are different people, not better, but are different, and because creating things, cooking or composing or conducting everything, it's like going beyond what you are. It's, I don't know, a lot of philosophers and a lot of scholars have been discussing about this, but arts, I think it's the highest cognitive function of the brain, of the human being, of course, because it's like, it's language, attention, executive functions, semantics, but like in the top, it's arts, because you're creating something that you don't need. You don't need arts. You need to have a proper language in order to act according to others' behaviors and sentences. But you don't need art, so why? And that question is fascinating, absolutely.
Yeah, for me too, absolutely. And this is why I my greatest wish is that children get the opportunity in schools to really, art should be alongside maths and science, and as important or as seen as important, because that, I think, develops a full round person. You don't have to become a musician, but the fact that you play an instrument would add to everything else you do in life. And this is what I've gathered from this whole project that I did, was that there's something that the artist has that makes them persevere, be self-motivated, see solutions, get up in the morning and do their thing. And this, I think, is these are skills that I think every person should have.
I think that you can't describe better what is being an artist, to be honest. It's impossible to describe better. It's exactly that. It's having a motivation independently of being in a theater or not. Mm-hmm. Just creating. It's just giving something beyond our necessities. So I think that as human beings, we are so limited in this deterministic world, because this begins here and finish here, and this the same. It's like, for us, it's complex to understand that sometimes things are together. Mm. As in neurosurgery, we thought, and in universities sometimes we still teach people that language begins here and finish here, and we are creating novel models about networks interacting between them. It's like we are so like, okay, arts, math, science, it's
yeah.
Of course not, because my science is related obviously to arts, and probably without arts I think I have not been able to do what I have done. I'm sure it's impossible, because arts gives you the chance to think, okay, I can go beyond me. I can go beyond myself. Exactly. I can, where other people think that that's impossible, you are an artist, you have been creating, and you know that maybe there's a way to have that solution. And that, of course, we need to change the system. I'm pretty sure, of course.
Mm. Well, let's hope. Let's believe, not hope. Let's believe.
Yes.
Yeah. But Jesus, now tell me, you've achieved so much already, but what is the wish for you? Or what are the wishes?
I'm going to tell you something so personal, but 2 days ago, I was seated with a lot of investors that we are in a way that, okay, my team and I, we have begun to operate in different countries in this not new philosophy, because the philosophy, I think it's from my mentor, but with this test and emotional processing in vivo and awake surgery and so on. And we have begun to operate in other countries, of course, for free. And to the investors that we are trying to create some kind of, I hate business, I don't need money, I don't want money, that's not my business. I'm an artist, I only need emotions. So, but I was talking to them. They asked me, what do you need exactly? And I told them, the only thing I need is having just enough money to be relaxed in order to keep on operating in other countries where they really need for free, because otherwise it's impossible to pay the everything. My neuropsychologist, the anesthesiologist specializing in wake surgery. So my wish is keep on developing new models of human cognition in order to help people and in order to change neurosurgery in this more artistic view, because I think that the brain is not prepared for being understood like something is here and something is here. Of course, that will be connected, and we cannot be limited by our cognition. So my wish is keep on operating on patients all over the world with our philosophy, with my team, and of course, helping people. I hate business. I hate everything. I hate the system. I'm sorry for being so clear, but
No, that's
I hate that. I hate the system. I just would like to have my parents safe, healthy, and my team. I'm so proud of my team because we moved to Poland or to Italy or to South America because of passion, and that's incredible because it's like, okay, I'm 30 years old, and I already have my team. I want, okay, I don't need more. So my wish is that. And about music, keep on creating and being an emotional human being. And let's see, but the main wish is helping people with brain tumors and developing new tests and improving and, I don't know, helping people.
amazing. What a beautiful wish, really. What a beautiful wish. And I believe that will be true. That will come true.
I think that I don't know, but we are doing what we love, and now I'm going to Montpellier with Professor Dufault, and after that we are going to Sevilla, then Florence, then Argentina, and then we keep on developing this emotional behavioral mapping in a wake surgery. And in planes, okay, I'm going to write music, so I'm so happy.
Yeah, wonderful. But tell me now, just one thing. I was thinking, when you do surgery, do you sing or do you listen to music?
To be honest, to tell the truth, I can't sing because our surgeries is only a wake surgery, so the patient is all the time
Okay.
performing task. Okay,
Yeah.
I talk to the patient, to Natalia, my neuropsychologist, and okay, because the patient at the same time I'm removing the tumor, the patient need to perform the test, to see emotions and to answer questions about behavior and to a lot of language tasks. But I don't sing, but sometimes in the final part when I found the limits of the surgery and it's finished, I began, I don't know, some melodies is
Oh, really?
ringing in my mind, yes. And sometimes it's like, okay, please mind, don't forget this. I need this melody. This is the melody I will put in this scene. And sometimes I get out from the operating room and the iPhone and to record the melody. So
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I say what I told you. It's not a complete switching. It's like
Yeah.
everything is connected.
Mm.
That's the point.
But that's amazing that you get these melodies when you do. But that's probably also when you find the solution when in the operating room, that your brain then is in that sort of flow of creating then, or I don't know. You will know better because you're the you're the neuroscientist.
Yeah, no, you know what? In neurosurgery, it's not common being so worried about brain functioning because neurosurgery is so complex, and normally neurosurgeons are so worried about techniques and anatomy and I mean microscopic things. Of course, they are important, but what I have learned from Dufault and our philosophy is like our philosophy is going beyond what I can see, going beyond the tumor aspiration. It's like, okay, I know that here is this tract. So when I touch that, I will have an emotional impairment in the patient, so I will stop. So this is a kind of, that's a creative way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that my brain is in this all the time in this artistic way, even in surgery. But I think so. So I think that the sentence for today, for our talk, is everything is connected.
Exactly. Oh, this was so great to talk to you. I'm really happy to talk to you. I was so happy that you contacted me, because you really, this was what I so want to prove, that there are these connections, and you are just absolutely 100% the proof of that.
Thank you so much for your words. Thank you so much for your questions, for your vision about the world and arts.